good day and welcome to the National Television Network and RSL 97. We are coming to you live from the Parliament of St. Lucia. It is the opening of Parliament. It is the first session of the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. And I am Garfield Alexander, and alongside me is Marlin Hyacinth. Good day, Marlin.
Bonjour Garfield, et bienvenue tous Saint-Lucien qui a regardé sur télévision NTN et puis qui a écouté radio Saint-Lucie. Nous ici en Parlement, côté la négoce affaires, quand nous avons essayé pour ouvrir le 11e Parlement pour le pays Saint-Lucie. Et puis quand nous avons regardé, là, il y a chaque différents monde en Parlement à présent, tous différents officiers, gouvernement, ces diplomates là, Garfield.
Well, the scheduled start, Marlin, is 10 o'clock. And even as we speak to you, there are a number of dignitaries who have already assembled here. We saw the Prime Minister earlier coming around and shaking hands. Also, we saw a few other parliamentarians who came in. And as we speak, as we look towards the two main areas for the dignitaries, we can identify a former Speaker of the House in Mr. Matthew Roberts, also a number of former parliamentarians who have come here for this opening of the Parliament of St. Lucia. It is a grand affair, and as always, it is always the case. A few minutes ago, we had the opportunity to just look outside onto the main street alongside the Parliament of St. Lucia, and we could see supporters of both political parties just milling about, and as the parliamentarians come in, waving their flags and so on. And it is an affair that is, as I said, a fairly grand one. Even in the Constitution Park area, there are tents that have been placed there. We understand also there will be a large screen on the outside where people will be able to view the proceedings here, and it will be, of course, via the National Television Network. The images from inside the Parliament being shown outside. Also, there are chairs there for people to sit. It's been a rainy Tuesday, so you can imagine the tents and so on, Marlin.
Oui, Garfield, quand Garfield dit, ça c'est une bonne occasion pour Saint-Lucien. Et puis quand on a parlé, nous avons un membre parlement, on a Gail Rigobert, qui est membre parlement pour notre micro. Il a parlé avec différents mondes. Et puis l'année différente, l'année, moi, c'est Linton Thomas et puis Madame Lee, et puis tous ces diplomates sortis dans ces différents pays. Moi, Madame Bofia Pal, qui était sénateur en dernier gouvernement qui passait là. Et puis, quand Garfield dit, là, il y a chaque activité qu'on a, c'est différents membres, différents partis qui viennent, c'est membres parlement, support à ce qui a fait là.
We can just give our listeners, our viewers, an understanding of what is going to happen here today. As we said, it is the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. A few weeks ago, of course, going to general elections here in St. Lucia on the 6th of June. And just about a week later, we had the swearing in of the Cabinet of St. Lucia. Now, what happens today as the Parliament meets? We'll have the swearing in of the parliamentarians. And remember our system of government. We have two houses. We have the upper house, which is the Senate of St. Lucia, and also the House of Assembly. So today, both of those houses will be meeting. Firstly, we will have the House of Assembly meeting, and obviously a speaker has to be elected. So you will have the election of a speaker and a deputy speaker. We have the swearing in of the elected members of Parliament, and then we'll have the adjournment. And then the second house will meet, that's the upper house, the Senate will meet, and the same process. So we will have the election of a president and a deputy president to be elected for the Senate. And after that, we have the swearing in, and then both houses of Parliament, the Senate and the House of Assembly, will meet in a joint sitting to receive a message from Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louisie.
Quand Garfield dit, quand ça premièrement, c'est même qu'il Parlement qui joint. Et clac là, qu'il demande Premier ministre là pour choisir un speaker. Puis ça sent en Parlement neuf. Premier ministre là qui nominé un speaker qui joint. Si pour chef opposition, speaker neuf là qui a tué, qui a sématé, et Premier ministre là qui aussi c'est les autres membres parlement qui sémanté. Yo kay aussi choisi un assistant speaker. Après ça, yo kay adopté une motion pour envoyer meeting yo pour yo ça joindre ensemble et puis c'est sénateur qui fait même bagay là. Yo kay vini, yo kay assise, yo kay choisi président pour sénateur, yo kay aussi choisi un président, assistant président et après ça après yo choisi assistant président, yo kay envoyer kay là encore kay parlement et pour yo vi entrer pour kay parlement upper house là qui c'est sénateur et puis lower house là qui c'est membre parlement qui yo déjà électé yo kay venir ensemble pour yo ça assise et puis pour écouter gouverneur général là qui a délivré yon l'adresse qu'on nous savent c'est ça qui a fait dans le parlement gouverneur général là qui a délivré yon l'adresse qui a bail Saint-Lucien qui a bail Kaila en indication à ce qui manière gouvernement qui dépenser l'argent payé qui a des programmes et qui projet il a fait pour l'année.
We just want to give our viewers, our listeners, a brief really as to what has happened in the last few weeks. Of course, we told you general election in St. Lucia on the 6th of June. The following day, we had the swearing in of the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Honorable Alan Chasney. And at that swearing in, the Prime Minister did speak, and we want to go to a short clip from that. So Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Alan Chasney, speaking on Tuesday, the 7th of June, and he speaks at the swearing in, at his swearing in. So we'll now go to that clip.
We humbly accept the overwhelming mandate you have given to us to oversee and administer the affairs of state for the next 5 years. I wish to congratulate all 17 duly elected members of the new Parliament of St. Lucia, as well as to commiserate with those on both sides of the political divide who were not successful in this occasion. The will of the people was to give the United Workers' Party an opportunity to pursue policies and programs aimed at improving the standard of living and the quality of life for all St. Lucians. For this ambitious goal to be achieved, I will require the cooperation and full support of all St. Lucians. It is for this reason I wish to signal from the onset my desire to foster a far more cooperative and collaborative relationship with all interests in society, including the official opposition. My dear people, general elections of 2016 are now all but over. And it is to the future that we must look and work with a sense of national pride and duty.
This is the National Television Network and RSL 97. We are live and we are here for the opening of Parliament. It is the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. And again, I'm Garfield Alexander, and alongside me is Marlene Hyacinth.
Garfield bien vie Saint-Lucien pour nous à Parlement, nous avons télévision NTN et puis radio Saint-Lucien pour nous commencer 11e Parlement, session Parlement pour l'année cela.
And Marlene, as we said earlier, this is the opening of Parliament, and this is the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. And what will happen here today, we will have the election of a Speaker of the House of Assembly and a Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly. That, of course, will be followed by the swearing in of the members of Parliament. Following that, we will have the adjournment of that House of Parliament, that is the lower house, and then we'll have the upper house, which is the Senate. The senators will come in. They will also do the same in electing a president and a deputy president of the Senate, and also we'll have the swearing in of the senators. After that, we will have the adjournment of that house, and then we'll have both houses coming together, which of course will be the Parliament of St. Lucia, the upper house, the Senate, and the lower house, the House of Assembly, coming together for a joint sitting of the Parliament of St. Lucia and to receive a message from Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louise.
Garfield, nous, ouais, qui pues tout ces membres parlement ça c'est moun qui yo électé à Jean assise et puis après ça gendarme là quand tué pour tout le monde debout pour commencer session kay parlement.
And that, of course, signals the start. We have the mace being brought in by the sergeant at arms, now being placed into its cradle. The voice there of the Clerk of Parliament.
A proclamation. Whereas it is enacted by Section 54(1) of the Constitution of St. Lucia that each session of Parliament shall be held at such place within St. Lucia and shall begin at such time as the Governor-General shall appoint by proclamation. And whereas it is now expedient that a session of the said Parliament shall be held. Now, therefore, I, Calliope Paulette Louisy, Governor-General of St. Lucia, by this proclamation, do hereby appoint that a session of Parliament shall be held on Tuesday, the 12th day of July, 2016, for the dispatch of public business. That the first meeting of the House of Assembly shall commence at 10 o'clock in the forenoon on Tuesday, the 12th day of July, 2016, at the Parliament building in the city of Castries. And the members of the said Parliament and all Her Majesty's officers, ministers, and loving subjects in St. Lucia, and all others whom it may concern, are hereby required to take due notice hereof and to give their ready obedience accordingly. Given under my hand and the public seal of St. Lucia at Government House in the city of Castries, in the state of St. Lucia, this 23rd day of June 2016, in the 65th year of the reign of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. God save the Queen. Honorable members, please elect your speaker.
Madam Clerk, honorable members, I beg to nominate Mrs. Leon Theodore John as Speaker of this honorable House.
I beg to second the nomination.
Honorable members, are there any other nomination? If there are no other nomination, the question is that the Honorable Leon Theodore John be nominated as Speaker of the House of Assembly. I now put the question. As many of that opinion say aye. As many of that contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Honorable members, please await the arrival of your speaker.
All rise.
Theodore John to be the Speaker of the House of Assembly. And soon we will see the arrival of Mrs. Theodore John. The Sergeant at Arms has taken the mace and placed it on his right shoulder and has left the chamber. Of course, we have, the members of Parliament, the elected members of Parliament. This is the meeting of the House of Assembly. And as we told you, later on we will have the meeting of the Senate, which is the upper house, and they will also go through the same procedure, but this time, of course, they will nominate and elect a president and a deputy president of the Senate.
C'est membre du Parlement, j'ai choisi Madame Leon Theodore John comme speaker pour Kaila. Parlement et puis Premier ministre là et puis chef opposition quitter Kaila et qui peut-être aller à joindre pour mener à tuer pour présenter le Parlement. Comme ça qu'on nous dit après j'ai choisi speaker c'est même Kaila qui nous choisi un assistant speaker et puis c'est même sénateur qui fait même bagaille là après yo fini yo qui passer une motion pour yo envoyer Kaila et pour yo virer et pour yo vivre.
And as we told you earlier, a number of dignitaries here, of course, former members of parliament. Just a short while ago on screen, we saw the former member of parliament for Miku South, Mr. Arsene James, and I was just joking earlier with Marlene and telling her that he came in a little later. Usually, when he was a member of parliament, of course, someone who was always here, the first person here usually, but of course, that was not needed at this time, coming in a little later on.
We know si parler di accompagner monde qui nous kawè pour bien longtemps kaila comme monsieur Iredove qui c'était qui un gros support pour gouvernement ça là et puis qui était ministre pour agriculture en temps passé.
That's correct.
On ça nous a commencé on a mené Madame Speaker entrer à kaila à Bouisa.
And of course the Sergeant at Arms, followed by the new Speaker of the House. She's no stranger to the Parliament of St. Lucia, of course a former President of the Senate. So she will now take her place as Speaker of the House of Assembly.
Pour choisir un assistant pour speaker.
And we are live. This is the National Television Network and RSL 97 as we bring you live coverage of the opening of the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. And just a short while ago, Leon Theodore John, nominated and seconded by the leader of the opposition, nominated by the Prime Minister, the Honorable Alan Chasney, and seconded by the leader of the opposition.
Do affirm that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. I do affirm. I, Leon Theodore John, do affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of Speaker without fear or favor, affection or ill will, and that in the execution of the functions of that office, I will honor, uphold, and preserve the Constitution of St. Lucia. I do affirm.
Matthew Roberts. He is here in the chamber.
Let us pray.
Almighty God, by whom alone kings reign and princes decree justice, and from whom alone cometh all counsel, wisdom, and understanding. We thine unworthy servants here gathered together in thy name, do most humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us all our consultations, and grant that we, having thine fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and the partial affections, the result of all our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and the justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the Queen, the public weal, peace and the tranquility of St. Lucia, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all persons and estates within the same, in true Christian love and charity, one towards another, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. And the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Ghost be with us all evermore. Amen.
Madam Clerk, please administer the oath of allegiance or affirmation, as the case may be, of all members.
To St. Lucia, and that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will consciously and impartially discharge my responsibilities for the people of St. Lucia.
I, Stevenson King, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Gail Tracy Christian Rigobert, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Ezekiel Joseph, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, and that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Guy Eardley Joseph, affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Edmund Estefan, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Leonard Spider Montoot, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, John Bradley Felix, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Sarah Flood Beaubrun, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Dominic Francis Fede, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Herod Adrian Stanislas, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Philip Joseph Pierre, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Alva Romanus Baptist, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Kenny Davis Anthony, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia, so help me God.
I, Moses Jabatis, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Sean A. Edward, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Ernest Hilaire, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
To 17 membres parlement, Japon Semayo.
Honorable members, please elect your deputy speaker.
Your assistant speaker.
Honorable members, please elect your deputy speaker. Honorable. Honorable members, for a third time, please elect your deputy speaker. Honorable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business.
Madam Speaker, there appears to be an impasse and that no nomination appears to be forthcoming. Madam Speaker, I beg that this Honorable House do rise and adjourn for 10 minutes for a brief discussion with the Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Honorable members, the question is that the House do rise and adjourn for 10 minutes for the Honorable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business to engage in discussion with the Honorable Leader of the Opposition. I now put the question. As many as of that opinion, say aye. As many as of a contrary opinion, say no. I believe the ayes have it. The ayes have it. This House stands adjourned for 10 minutes.
Well, the House has been adjourned. Earlier we saw the nomination and election of a Speaker of the House in the person of Mrs. Leon Theodore John, and after that the swearing in of the members of Parliament, and that following that we expected a nomination for the Deputy Speaker of the House, but no nominations, and the Leader of Government Business and Prime Minister asking for an adjournment, 10-minute adjournment for discussions with the Leader of the Opposition, that is the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, and both men, they have left the chamber. So it's an interesting point here this morning, Marilyn.
Yes, un point qui est intéressant, puis speaker a couillé 3 fois pour demander pour choisir un assistant. Et puis tout le monde assis là comme si c'était Momo. Et puis les speakers ouais rien pas qu'à fait, il couillé premier ministre là debout et puis il couillé il m'a dit pour envoyer session là pour à peu près 10 minutes côté li premier ministre là et puis chef opposition monsieur Philippe J. Pierre yo de a kay joindre ensemble yo kay discuter pour yo sa venir à une décision à ce commune qui kay assistant speaker pour kay là.
And I know nothing was said by the speaker, but when the question was put to the floor, I could have sworn I heard someone said no, but I think the majority had it in the ayes have it, having it for the adjournment. But you could imagine, I'm sure you can hear it through our microphones, that you can hear the buzz around as to this development here this morning. We want to remind you that this is the National Television Network and RSL 97, and we are bringing you live coverage of the opening of Parliament, of course, following general election here in St. Lucia on the 6th of June, the swearing in of the Prime Minister on the following day, and also a week later, the Cabinet of Ministers. And we are here for this opening. We expect a little later on to get the throne speech from Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louisy.
Oui, nous ici, comme ça, tout bagaille semble du bout, on c'est des mettre affaires sortir dehors pour yo ça décider à ce comment qui est assistant speaker et puis quand Garfield dit nous tenir élection le 6 juin et puis gouvernement flamboa en pouvoir présent et puis nous c'est même opposition parti l'étoile là et puis jour après ça le 7 juin Premier ministre là prend serment comme Premier ministre ici, ça c'est honorable Alan Chasney, et puis les 14 là tenir un gros festin célébration en Grand Ball en Vieux-Fort. Côté tous ces membres parlement, c'est à ce côté gouvernement t'es sélecté pour différents ministres en gouvernement.
And even as we look around the chamber, just on screen a short while ago, the ambassador for the Republic of China, Taiwan, His Excellency Raymond Mao. And as we told you, as we saw in the chamber earlier, a number of former parliamentarians here, even a former Speaker of the House, and Mr. Matthew Roberts, members of the clergy. I did see earlier, well, to our right, minister of the Pentecostal Church in Vieux-Fort, Bishop Thomas Ariste, I saw him earlier. Also from the Catholic Church, Father Michel is also here. So pretty wide grouping of people, of course, coming here for this opening of Parliament.
Oui, et puis nous c'est secrétaire permanent, permanent secretaries, c'est différents ministres du gouvernement, nous Mademoiselle Esther Brafitt, ministre de l'Éducation, nous Monsieur Anthony George,
Dr. George, yes.
Ministre ministère du sport, et puis deux ou trois les autres. Et puis nous aussi, ouais, Dr. Louis là, et puis madame, et puis plusieurs différents, monsieur Peter King, qui toujours pas parler à sous affaires politiques à Saint-Lucie, il a parlé. Comme ça, là, il y a Chai Moun, et puis dehors aussi, il y a Chai, deux, trois.
And straight ahead, we can see the former president of the Senate, Mr. Claudius Francis, is also in the chamber. And I don't know if our listeners were able to pick it up through our microphones. A little earlier, we could hear in the background the arrival of the Royal St. Lucia Police Band. And of course, they will be on the outside waiting the arrival of the Governor General of St. Lucia, Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louisie. And later on, of course, we will be hearing a speech from her as she will outline some of the broad policy areas for this session of Parliament. So that is to come later on. And later on also, we did see the swearing in and the election of a speaker, swearing in of the speaker, and also the swearing in of the members of the lower house of St. Lucia. Later on, the members of the upper house will go through the same procedure in that they will elect a president, and hopefully, because all morning we've been saying a deputy speaker, but we just had, if you're just joining us, just had a bit of an impasse in that the speaker 3 times asking for a nomination of a deputy speaker and no nominations coming from the floor. So the House has been adjourned for just about 10 minutes for discussions between the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. So that is where we are right now.
I know by ces information à sous qui composition même kay parlement et puis c'est différent, c'est mon qui a tiré c'est différents ministères en gouvernement. Pour ça nous le premier ministre c'est on est Alan Chancellor qui premier ministre c'est même parlement pour soutenir mais aussi c'est ministre pour finance, pour développement économique, pour continuer travail, les affaires étrangères et services publics. Concernant tous ces ministres-là en bas
So we are just looking briefly at the members of Parliament and of course those who are on the government side looking at their various ministries. So first of all, of course, the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Honorable Alan M. Chasney, and he is the parliamentary representative for Micoud South. He is Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Economic Growth, Job Creation, External Affairs, and the Public Service.
Et puis nous aussi, on est Dr. Gail Rigobert, qui est membre du Parlement pour notre Micoud. Et puis aussi, c'est ministre pour l'éducation et c'est ministre pour l'avancement, technologie, services, relations, hommes et puis femmes, et développement durable. Comme ça, Dr. Rigobert, c'est un éducateur et puis nous sommes bien placés au ministère de l'Éducation.
And the second person that we have on our list is the Honorable Dr. T.C. Rigobert, and she is the parliamentary representative for Micoud North. She is Minister for Education, Innovation, Gender Relations, and Sustainable Development.
Nous aussi, on est Ezekiel Joseph, qui est membre du Parlement pour Place Babono. Et puis, Ezekiel Joseph, gouvernement avant, il était ministre pour l'agriculture, comme ça. Il aussi, c'est ministre pour l'agriculture, pour la pêche, pour le développement des pays, pour les ressources naturelles, les affaires finances et puis coopération.
The Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, he is the parliamentary representative for Babono, Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources, and Cooperatives.
On est Stevenson King, qui est par pièce étrangère pour le Parlement. Il a dit combien d'années depuis le Parlement, il est en opposition, il est en gouvernement. C'était le dernier Premier ministre en temps passé. Il est même Parlement pour Nord-Castries. Et puis, ministre, on est Stevenson King, c'est ministre pour le projet et travaux. Il est aussi ministre pour services sport, énergie et affaires travail.
Honorable Stevenson King, a very experienced parliamentarian, has served in several ministries, a former Prime Minister here in St. Lucia. He's the parliamentary representative for Castries North, Minister for Infrastructure, Ports Services, Energy, and Labor. Now, even as we speak, we just saw the leader of the opposition, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, coming back into the chamber, so we can only assume that the discussions have ended, and we should see soon the Sergeant at Arms coming back into the chamber and the continuation of the proceedings here at the Parliament of St. Lucia.
Quand ça tout suite ça nous vient commencer session parlement qu'on nous a enchaîné même parlement qui était sorti dehors ensemble et puis leader opposition Javi entre et puis l'autre ministre là nous c'est Oniwab Guy Joseph même parlement pour South East Castries moi même ça qui m'a dit pour dire ça South East Castries mais c'est ministre pour développement économique affaires bâtiment développement ville transport affaires voyage avion. Comme ça, M. Guy Joseph, par pièce étranger pour le Parlement, il a servi en gouvernement avant, en opposition, et puis en gouvernement en temps passé.
Number 5 on our list, the Honorable Guy Eardley Joseph, and he is the parliamentary representative for Castries Southeast, Minister for Economic Development, Housing, Urban Renewal, Transport, and Civil Aviation.
L'autre ministre là, c'est Oniwab Leonard Spider-Man tout qui m'a parlement pour Gozile, qu'on nous dit, par pièce étranger, il était dernièrement, il était à sous Sénat là, quand il est sénateur, il était un ministre pour sport et puis service public en gouvernement passé, il est ministre pour affaires égalité, justice sociale, pouvoir pour peuple, développement jeunesse export, Kilti et gouvernement commun.
The Honorable Leonard Montout, Parliamentary Representative for Grosile, Minister for Equity, Social Justice, Empowerment, Youth Development, Sports, Culture, and Local Government. And just a few moments ago, we saw the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Honorable Alan Chastney, coming back into the chamber. As we said earlier, just a few minutes ago, the opposition leader, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, coming back into the chamber. So hopefully we'll have a resumption shortly.
Because peut-être nous allons espérer à son speaker qui va entrer et puis qui va commencer la session. Quand l'autre ministre là nous c'est Oniwab Bradley Felix qui membre parlement pour choisir Saltibus et puis ça c'est un étranger pour le parlement. Bradley Felix était financier, il travaille banque et puis c'est ministre en office premier ministre là qui a une responsabilité pour les affaires commerce, l'industrie, investissement, développement entreprise et les affaires consommateurs.
The Honorable John Bradley Felix, he is new to the Parliament of St. Lucia. He is the parliamentary representative for Choiseul, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for commerce, industry, investment, enterprise development, and consumer affairs.
Okay. Nous avons Edmond Estefan qui est membre parlement pour Soudan, et puis Edmond Estefan, c'est pas pièce étranger, il a depuis maman il fait il y a un parlement. Comme ça, c'est lui qui ministre en ministère des Affaires égalité, justice sociale, pouvoir pour peuple, développement jeunesse export, Kilti et gouvernement commun.
The Honorable Edmond Estefan, no stranger to the Parliament of St. Lucia, parliamentary representative for Dennery South, Minister in the Ministry for Equity, Social Justice, Empowerment, Youth Development, Sports, Culture, and Local Government.
Honorable Sarah Flood, c'est membre parlement pour Central Castries.
So we have once again the Sergeant at Arms with the mace coming back into the chamber, and the Speaker is also back in the chamber. We have the resumption of proceedings this morning. She now bows to the members of the House of Assembly.
Honorable members, when the House last rose, the question was the election of a deputy speaker. Honorable members, please elect a deputy speaker.
Madam Speaker, I beg to nominate Sarah Flood Bobrin, member from Castries Central, as the Deputy Speaker of this Honorable House.
Is there a seconder to the motion?
Madam Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Honorable members, the question is that the Honorable Sarah, member for Castries Central, Sarah Flood Bobrin, be elected Deputy Speaker of this House. I now put the question. As many are as of that opinion, say aye. As many are as of the contrary opinion, say no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The Honorable Sarah Flood Bobrin, member for Castries Central, is duly elected the Deputy Speaker of this Honorable House. Honorable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move the following motion standing in my name. Be it resolved that this Honorable House pledge its sincere loyalty and allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to Her Excellency, the Governor General, for onward transmission to Her Majesty the Queen.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Speaker, I beg to second the resolution.
Honorable members, the question is that this Honorable House do pledge its loyalty and allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and that a copy of this resolution be sent to Her Excellency, the Governor General of St. Lucia, for onward transmission to Her Majesty the Queen. I now put the question. As many are as of that opinion, say aye. As many are as of a contrary opinion, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Honorable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move the following motion standing in my name. On the passing of former Prime Minister of Trinidad, the Honorable Patrick Manning. Be it resolved that this Honorable House of Assembly pledge its sincere loyalty and allegiance. Sorry, my apologies, Madam. Whereas the Parliament and Government and the people of St. Lucia learnt with sadness on the 2nd of July 2016 of the passing of Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning, former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And whereas the Parliament and the Government of People of St. Lucia recognize that Trinidad and Tobago has lost a national leader whose contribution to this country and to the region was significant. And whereas Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning, a geologist by training, and the 4th and 6th Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago for the periods the 17th of December 1991 to the 9th of November 1995 and the 24th of December 2001 to the 26th of May 2010, was a committed statesman dedicated to the cause of regional integration and improving the lives of the people of the region, whose advocacy led to the establishment of the Petroleum Fund, from which member states of CARICOM and the OECS benefited, whose contribution to orchestrating the CARICOM Task Force on Crime and Security resulted in the adoption of the Security Corporation as the fourth pillar of the community, and whose work in the area of non-communicable diseases has focused and highlighted the dangers posed by these diseases in our region. And whereas St. Lucia remembers in particular with warmth and appreciation the assistance provided to St. Lucia by Trinidad and Tobago at his behest, and his promising of closer political and economic ties between St. Lucia and Trinidad and Tobago. Be it resolved that the Parliament, government, and the people of St. Lucia formally offer profound condolences to the family of Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning, and to the government and the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and offer our prayers and support as they mourn his loss.
Honourable members, the question is that the Parliament, government and people of St. Lucia formally offer profound condolences to the family of Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning and to the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago, and to offer our prayers and support as they mourn his loss. Honourable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business.
Madam Speaker, in recognition and as a contribution to the passing of the former Prime Minister, I was very pleased that the former Prime Minister, the Honourable Stephenson King, and a member representing the opposition accompanied us to Trinidad to attend the Prime Minister's passing. So again, I want to thank the Leader of the Opposition for his support, and I know that I speak on all of us when I say that we've lost a true friend.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Speaker, I rise to associate myself with that resolution, and the opposition recognizes the contribution of the former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, not only his contribution to Trinidad and Tobago, but his contribution to the region and the world. Madam Speaker, it's passing strange that politicians only honor each other when they're dead. It would be pleasing if people who've served, like Mr. Manning, be given the honor before they're dead. But having said so, it's better late than never, and I think all the members of the opposition would agree with me in saying that this resolution is fitting for the statesman that Mr. Manning was, and I'd like to associate ourselves with this resolution and express our sincere condolences and our sympathies to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and the family of the late Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning. I thank you.
Honourable members, the question is that the Parliament, government and people of St. Lucia formally offer profound condolences to the family of Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning and to the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago, and offer our prayers and support as they mourn his passing. I now put the question. As many are as of that opinion, say aye. As many are as of the contrary opinion, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Honourable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move the following motion standing in my name. Be it resolved that this honorable House do rise to meet in joint session with the Senate to receive a message from Her Excellency the Governor General, and then stand adjourned sine die.
Honorable members, the question is that this honorable House do rise to meet in joint session with the Senate and to receive a message from Her Excellency the Governor General of St. Lucia, and then stand adjourned sine die. I now put the question. As many as of that opinion, say aye. As many as of the contrary opinion, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. This honorable House stands adjourned.
All rise.
The House has been adjourned, and as we have been telling you, the first part of proceedings where you'd have the election of a speaker and a deputy speaker. A bit of drama earlier with electing the deputy speaker, but after discussions between the Prime Minister and leader of the opposition, some resolution, and eventually Mrs. Sarah Flood-Boubra, Honorable Sarah Flood-Boubra, being nominated and elected as a deputy speaker of the House of Assembly. Of course, she herself, a former Speaker of the House, former parliamentarian herself, and back in Parliament after the general election of the 6th of June. She is the Member of Parliament for Castries Central.
Nous avons envoyé session à présent côté nous avons choisi Madame Sarah Flood comme Deputy Assistant Speaker, et puis je vais sortir ça nous avons c'est sénateur qui a entré, et puis il a fait même ces bagailles là qui c'est même parlement lower house l'a fait côté il a choisi un président pour Sénat là, et puis un assistant président, et puis après il a fini faire ça, il a passé en motion pour joindre encore, et puis tout le même parlement côté il a venu ensemble, et puis gouverneur général d'Impolette Lucie qui a présenté l'adresse. Et quand nous dit l'adresse là, c'est qu'il a indiqué à ce qui manière gouvernement qui fait jean pour pays pour l'année à venir. Qui projet yo kaini, qui programme yo kaini, et puis qui manière yo kai faire ces bagailles ça là.
Yes, indeed, and that should be happening shortly. Even as we speak, we see some of the members of the Senate already coming in, so we'll have the transition where you'll have now the members of the Senate coming into the chamber and will fill the seats here and go through the process of electing a president and a deputy president of the House of Assembly. Now, earlier we were going through the members of Parliament. We were up to, I think it is number 8. So we will continue, Marlene.
Oui, concernant nous avons parlé de Honorable Sarah Flood, qui a présent, qui est membre parlement pour Central Castries, Fond Castries, et puis qui aussi a été électé comme assistant speaker pour Kai Parlement. Sarah Flood par pièce étranger pour Kai Parlement. Il s'était un membre parlement en gouvernement l'étoile en temps passé. Il était aussi speaker à Kai Parlement. Et puis il était aussi il a travaillé comme membre parlement en opposition. À présent, il y a Kai Parlement. Comme ça.
So Sarah Flood-Boubra, as you just heard, being elected Deputy Speaker of the House, of course a former Speaker of the House herself, and she is also the parliamentary representative for Castries Central.
Et puis nous avons Dominique Fede, qui est membre parlement pour l'Anslaoui Canaoui, et puis c'est un étranger pour Kai Parlement. mais il se ministre il ministre en office premier ministre là qui a une responsabilité pour l'industrie touriste exafait information mais l'industrie touriste on est fait j'ai travaillé en bon longtemps à dans situation touriste et puis aussi en mon information en affaires formation.
The other member of parliament and also a member of the cabinet, the Honorable Dominic Francis Fede, and he is the parliamentary representative for Ancillary Canneries. He is the minister in the office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for tourism, information and broadcasting.
Nous avons l'autre, on est Harold Stanislas. Il est un étranger pour le Parlement, il est membre du Parlement pour Soufouye Front Saint-Jacques, il est un ministre du ministère du développement économique, des affaires caille, développement du corps, transport, et des affaires avion. Il est un ministre du Honorable Guy Joseph.
Well, another new member of Parliament, and he is the Honorable Harold A. Stanislas. He is the parliamentary representative for Soufre, minister in the Ministry of Economic Development, Housing, Urban Renewal, and Civil Aviation. And as we told you earlier, a number of the senators are making their way into the chamber as we will go through the process of electing a president and a deputy president of the Senate.
Quand nous parlons de ces sénateurs qui ont entré pour faire même qualité bagaille là qui c'est même parlement faire. Nous ces sénateurs à sous côté gouvernement. Nous premier on est sénateur Roman Gil Francis qui ministre pour affaires pays, justice et sécurité nationale.
So now we go to the Senate of St. Lucia, and we will talk to you about the various senators in the Senate of St. Lucia. First off, Senator the Honorable Homangild Francis. He is Minister for Home Affairs, Justice and National Security.
Et puis nous avons l'autre sénateur, on est sénateur Mary Isaac, qui est ministre pour service santé et bonne santé.
Honorable Senator, the Honorable Mary Isaac. She is Minister for Health and Wellness.
L'autre sénateur à nous, on est sénateur Dr. Ubaldas Raymond, qui est ministre au ministère des Finances, le Premier ministre.
Senator, the Honorable Ubaldas Raymond. He is Minister in the Ministry of Finance.
L'autre sénateur à nous, c'est on est sénateur Fortuna Belrose, qui est ministre au ministère des Affaires, Égalité, Justice sociale, Pouvoir pour peuple, Développement, Jeunesse, Export, Culture et Gouvernement commun. Et puis, responsabilité pour service humanité et puis gouvernement commun.
All right, Senator Honorable Fortuna Belrose, Minister in the Ministry for Equity, Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, Empowerment, Youth Development, Sports, Culture, and Local Government.
Okay. On est Senator Jimmy Henry, Ministre de l'Agriculture, la Pêche, Développement, Terre, Pays, Ressources Naturelles, Exaffaires, Services, Finances, Coopération.
A proclamation. Whereas it is enacted by Section 54(1) of the Constitution of St. Lucia that each session of Parliament shall be held at such place within St. Lucia and shall begin at such time as the Governor-General shall appoint by proclamation. And whereas it is now expedient that a session of the said Parliament should be held. Now, therefore, I, Calliope Pullett Louisy, Governor-General of St. Lucia, by this proclamation do hereby appoint that a session of Parliament shall be held on Tuesday, the 12th day of July, 2016, for the dispatch of public business. That the first meeting of the Senate shall commence at 11 o'clock in the forenoon on Tuesday, the 12th day of July, 2016, at the Parliament building in the city of Castries. And the members of the said Parliament and Her Majesty's officers, ministers, and loving subjects in St. Lucia, and all others whom it may concern, hereby require to take due notice hereof and to give their ready obedience accordingly. Given under my hand and the public seal of St. Lucia at Government House in the city of Castries, in the state of St. Lucia, this 23rd day of June 2016, in the 65th year of the reign of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. God save the Queen. Honorable Senators, please elect your President of the Senate.
Madam Clerk, honorable members, I beg to nominate Andy Daniel as the President of the Senate.
Honorable member, I beg to second the motion.
Honorable Senators, are there any other nomination? If there are no other nominations, Senator Andy Daniel has been nominated as President of the Senate. I now put the question. As many of that opinion say aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Senators, please await the arrival of your President.
Comme ça, nous avons choisi Honorable Andy Daniel comme président pour sénateur.
Now the next stage would be the arrival of the new president, and both Senator Joachim Henry and Senator Eubaldus Raymond leaving the chamber to meet the new president, and they will come back into the chamber with the new president of the Senate, the Honorable Andy Daniel.
Comme ça, Honorable Eubaldus Raymond, c'est qui est responsable pour faire gouvernement sous côté Sénat là, et puis Honorable Joachim Henry qui est responsable pour faire gouvernement en opposition quand il a déjà sorti dehors qui était fait, et puis c'est même parlement, c'est des chefs là, ils ont allé à joindre M. Andy Daniel qui a choisi comme président pour Sénat là pour mener vie en tout. Et puis après ça, il a décidé pour choisir un assistant président pour aider à gérer les affaires Sénat là.
And that is indeed the case, Marilyn. We will have the nomination, first of all, of a deputy president. And let's just hope that we don't have the same drama that we had earlier. But we will have a nomination of a deputy president and election of a deputy president. And of course, that will be followed by the swearing in of the senators. And we do know, according to the Constitution, 6 members on the government side, and 3 on the side of the opposition, and 2 independent senators. So they'll be taking their oath a little later on as we await the arrival of the president of the Senate, the new president of the Senate, Mr. Andy Daniel. And again, no stranger to the Senate. He has served in the Senate in the previous administration on the opposition side, now president of the Senate.
Quand tu as dit pour l'année différence kai parlement côté c'est mona yo électé et puis c'est ça à l'autre kai là côté gouvernement choisi comme ça c'est kai parlement côté yo électé l'année 17 mois et puis à l'autre kai là côté c'est mon ça pas électé l'année 11 6 à ce côté gouvernement 3 à son opposition et 2 qui gouverneur général a choisi pour assise là. Comme ça nous pas ouais président quand à présent président Sénat là et puis honorable Baltus Raymond et puis honorable Joaquin Henry qui menait à toi pour présenter pour Sénat là. Nous allons aller à la prière à présent.
And of course, you'll be hearing just a little later on the voice of the Clerk of Parliament, Ms. Lindell Gustav, as now the new president will take his oath.
I, and again Daniel, do swear that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law. So help me God. I, Andy Glenn Daniel, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia, so help me God. Let us pray.
Almighty God, by whom alone kings reign and princes decree justice, and from whom alone cometh all counsel, wisdom, and understanding, we thine unworthy servants here gathered together in thy name, do most humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us in all our consultations, and grant that we, having thy fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and the partial affections, the result of all our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the Queen, the public weal, peace and tranquility of St. Lucia, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all persons and estates within the same, in true Christian love and charity, one towards another, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. And the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Ghost be with us all evermore. Amen. Thank you very much.
Madam Clerk, please administer the oath of allegiance or affirmation, as the case may be, of all senators.
I, Ebaldas Raymond, do affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Herman Gill Francis, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Mary Isaac, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Catalina Fortuna Belrose, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Jimmy Henry, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Mauricia Thomas Francis, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Adrian Auger, do swear and affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Joachim Henry, do swear and affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Gideon Ferdinand, do affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, and I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. I do affirm.
I, Jerome Gideon, do affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. I do affirm.
Honorable Senators, please elect your Deputy President.
Mr. President, I beg to nominate Senator Honorable Mauricia Thomas Francis as Deputy Speaker. Deputy President, sorry.
And I so move, Honorable, to second the motion.
Honorable Senators, are there any other nominations? Honorable members, Senator Mistress Mauricia Thomas, having been so nominated, the question is that the Honorable Mauricia Thomas be elected Deputy President of the Senate. I now put the question. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Senator Mauricia Thomas, now elected Deputy President of the Senate. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. President, I beg to move this motion. My name, be it resolved that this Honorable Senate pledge its sincere loyalty and allegiance. Mr. President, I beg to move this motion in my name. Be it resolved that this Honorable Senate pledge its sincere loyalty and allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to Her Excellency the Governor General for onward transmission to Her Majesty the Queen.
Leader of Opposition Business.
I do move to second the motion.
Senators, the question is that this Senate do pledge its loyalty and allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and that a copy of this resolution be sent to Her Excellency, the Governor General, for onward transmission to Her Majesty the Queen. I now put the question. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. President, I beg to move this motion in my name. Whereas the Parliament, government, and people of St. Lucia learned with sadness on 2nd July 2016 of the passing of Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning, former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And whereas the Parliament, government, and people of St. Lucia recognize that Trinidad and Tobago has lost a national leader whose contribution to his country and the region was significant. And whereas Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning a geologist by training and the 4th and 6th Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago for the period 17th December 1991 to 9th November 1995 and 24th December 2001 to 26th May 2010, was a committed statesman dedicated to the cause of regional integration and improving the lives of the people of the region, whose advocacy led to the establishment of the Petroleum Fund, from which member states of CARICOM and the OECS benefited, whose contribution in orchestrating the CARICOM Task Force on Crime and Security resulted in the adoption of security cooperation as a 4th pillar of the community, and whose work in the area of non-communicable diseases has focused on and highlighted the dangers posed by these diseases in the region. And whereas St. Lucia remembers in particular with warmth and appreciation the assistance provided to St. Lucia by Trinidad and Tobago at his behest and his promoting of closer political economic ties between St. Lucia and Trinidad and Tobago. Be it resolved that the Parliament, government, and people of St. Lucia formally offer profound condolences to the family of Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning and to the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago, and offer our prayers and support as they mourn in his loss.
I do second the motion as read.
Senators, the question is that the Parliament, government, and people of St. Lucia formally offer profound condolences to the family of Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning and to the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago, and offer our prayers and support as they mourn his loss. I now put the question. As many are of that opinion, say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Leader of government business.
Mr. President, I beg to move the following motion standing in my name. Be it resolved that this House do rise to meet in joint session with the House of Assembly to receive a message from Her Excellency the Governor General, and then stand adjourned sine die.
Senators, the question is that this House do rise to meet in joint session with the House of Assembly to receive a message from Her Excellency the Governor General, and then to stand adjourned sine die. I now put the question. As many are of that opinion, say aye. As many are of a contrary opinion, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. This Honorable House stands adjourned.
So we now have the adjournment. Now the Sergeant at Arms leaving the chamber, followed by the new President of the Senate, the Honorable Andy Daniel, and as we look outside, we see the arrival of Her Excellency, the Antoinette Lucia, accompanied by her ADC. And a little later on,
the Governor General is now
sitting of the House.
Has now arrived.
Parliament of St. Lucia.
She's been accompanied by her aide-de-camp and is now to ascend the podium. In just a moment, the Governor General, Her Excellency Dame Paulette Weezy, will undertake the inspection of the Guard of Honor, comprising a police platoon of 32, along with the Royal St. Lucia Police Band. While that is being done, the Guard of Honor will be in open form. The parade is being led by Superintendent George Nicholas. The Governor General is now proceeding to undertake her inspection. As she moves along, she inspects every officer, all attired in their white tunics. She has now completed the first row and is now moving on to the second row of officers, 32 in number. The Governor General has now completed her inspection and is about to ascend the podium. As soon as she has done so, the Royal St. Lucia Police Band will play the national anthem, signaling the end of this segment of the parade. At this point, Her Excellency will descend to the podium and then make her way to the House of Assembly for the delivery of the throne speech to a joint sitting of the upper and lower house. As she makes her way to the chamber, she will be accompanied by the Speaker of the House, Honorable Leon Theodore John, Commissioner of Police, and the aide-de-camp to the Governor General. This takes us to the end of this segment of the first session of the 11th Parliament. It was a pleasure being your host. I now hand you over to my co-hosts who are seated inside the House of Assembly, Marilyn Hyacinth and Garfield Alexander, who will be taking you through the remainder of the proceedings. Over to you, Garfield.
Thank you very much, Julita. As we see the arrival of the Governor General into the main chamber, of course, the Sergeant at Arms first make his way into the chamber. Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louise, now in the main chamber, of course, the new President of the Senate, the Honorable Andy Daniel, present, and also the new Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Leon Theodore John. And now we will get ready for the throne speech.
So, gouverneur général là, qui a délivré l'adresse li. Nous ni c'est même sénateur, ni c'est même parlement là pour gouverneur général a délivré l'adresse li. Comme ça c'est ça nous parler de bon matin, nous premier caille parlement choisi un speaker Nodi honorable Theodore John et puis président pour Sénat là, honorable Andy Daniel qui a dit des affaires gouvernement pour pays à des Kaisala Gafil.
Yes, and if you're wondering why we have a delay, we should have had the Governor General with the throne speech, but just a technical glitch. The microphone seems to have a problem, and it is being looked at right now, so maybe they might just have to take another microphone. I'm not sure if it has the lead to be able to put it to the podium where the Governor General is seated. But that is the issue right now. But shortly we should be hearing from the Governor General of St. Lucia, her throne speech, as she will, of course, outline some broad areas for this new session of Parliament. Of course, it is the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. St. Lucia going to the polls on the 6th of June of this year, and of course the swearing in of a new Prime Minister and also a new cabinet. Earlier we had the lower house of the Parliament of St. Lucia meeting, the House of Assembly, and we saw the election of a new Speaker of the House of Assembly in the person of Leon Theodore John, and after some drama, Deputy Speaker in the person of Mrs. Sarah Flood Beaubray, who of course before she has served as Speaker of the House. We've got the problem rectified, and now we will receive the throne speech from Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louise.
Mr. President, Madam Speaker, today we assemble in these conspicuous chambers in the exercise of one of the essential requirements of our democracy. This first session of the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia is being convened in the aftermath of the June 6, 2016 general elections, when the people of St. Lucia reposed their confidence in my government to manage the affairs of our young nation for the next parliamentary term. My government accepts the responsibility with which it has been vested with deep humility, but with a profound sense of duty, born out of its commitment to the ideals of creating the environment for the construction of a new St. Lucia for the benefit of all our citizens. It saw the general election as an opportunity to propose new ideas, a new vision for our country, a new beginning that will build on the achievements we have had as a nation, that will harness the considerable talents of our citizens, and most importantly, will empower our population to achieve their dreams, their aspirations, and their craving for opportunities to improve their lives. The first session of this Parliament provides government with the opportunity to begin the process of outlining the agenda, to begin to add flesh to the bones and to the broad framework which were outlined during our dialogue with the people of St. Lucia at encounters throughout the length and breadth of the country, and to articulate some of the steps which it will embark upon in the short term as it seeks to bring relief to our citizens, to restore hope to all, and achieve our long-term objectives. One of the unfortunate features of the democratic traditions which we have embraced as a nation is that there are winners and losers after a general election. The consequence that the winner takes it all ends in disappointment for some and maybe a sour taste in many mouths. But at the end of the day, the outcome is an expression of the will of the people through the ballot box. And democracy requires that we accept the results in a spirit of conciliation and respect for each other. This is what we are committed to. This is what our Constitution requires. And this is the voice of the people. If we accept the premise that the results of a general election reflect the free will of the people, then at the end of the process, there are no losers. We are all winners through our participation in this process, because we have demonstrated to the world that we can continue to conduct our business in a manner which demonstrates maturity, civility, and mutual self-respect. We can all celebrate with pride, with passion, and with love. My government has received numerous congratulatory messages since the June 6, 2016 elections, and they all congratulate the government and people of St. Lucia, all the people. We are all winners. St. Lucia, notwithstanding its size, is a very diverse country. Its diversity is reflected not simply in terms of political persuasion of its citizens, but there are different social strata defined by varying income levels. People live in different communities where the conditions differ. There are youth, middle-aged and elderly persons, males, females, and many more characteristics. Our citizens also have varying aspirations and different objectives in their lives. My government is a government of and for all St. Lucians, no matter what their orientation or persuasions may be. We recognize that within this diversity also lie our strengths. Harnessing the abilities, talents, and creativity of our citizens can provide the key that will unlock the doors to economic and social development which have remained locked or at best ajar to most of us for far too long. Besides, this country belongs to all of us. We all have a right to our stake in it, to enjoy the fruits of our collective efforts, and to an acceptable standard of living for ourselves and for our families. Our only caveat is that those who are the weakest, most vulnerable, and most at risk among us are the ones in greatest need and will therefore be treated accordingly. Monsieur Président, Madame Speaker, moins que 3 mois qui passent, Parlement pays a été venu ensemble pour ouvrir en session 9 selon l'usage système gouvernement pays. Jour cela, annonce était faite que l'élection était chaîne en pays n'importe où pour inviter le peuple à choisir le gouvernement qui était conduire le pays en ces temps qui va venir. Qu'on dit, qu'en fait, le 6 juin passé, le pays, ni ça qui votait, et puis ça qui partait intéressé, fait choix. Aujourd'hui, nous assemblés pour ouvrir la première session 11e Parlement pays en bas en gouvernement neuf. Gouvernement neuf, ça là, qui a accepté go responsabilité, ça là, avec un chai humilité. Mais il a accepté aussi que responsabilité, ça là, qui a exigé qu'il travaille pour poursuivre by tout Saint-Lucien, pour aider à avancer, pour améliorer conditions et puis qualité de la vie. Plus tard, nous allons parler à sous certains de ces démarches-là, le gouvernement a entamé en première session parlementaire. C'est dommage que, si le système démocratique pays, après une élection, il y a ni perdant et puis il y a ni gagnant. Et puis, c'est gagnant qui doit prendre tout. Mais, si nous croyons vraiment la parole là qui dit que la parole du peuple, c'est la parole de Dieu, la pas ni perdant. Nous tous c'est gagnants. Parce que nous pouvons tuer monde tout au long de la terre, qui nous, Jean Saint-Lucie, ça continue à faire affaire nous après une élection avec civilité, avec respect pour y'en a l'autre. Comme ça, nous tous ça célébrer et puis passion avec générosité auprès y'en a l'autre. C'est vrai que Saint-Lucie c'est un petit pays, mais là il y a une chaîne différence, une chaîne diversité parmi nous les habitants. Là, il y a ça qui a supporté différents partis politiques. Ça qui est moyen, et puis ça qui a misère. Nous vivons en différentes communautés, en bas différentes conditions. Là, il y a jeunesse, là, il y a grand monde, là, il y a vieux monde, là, il y a homme, là, il y a femme. Nous tous pas ni même l'idée, même kachil là, même rêve là. Mais le gouvernement pays supposé c'est un gouvernement pour tout citoyen. Il y a une responsabilité pour ouvrir chemin by tout le monde. Surtout, c'est ça qui plus besoin. Mr. President, Madam Speaker, when my government announced the structure of the cabinet 3 weeks ago, we signaled the commencement of an approach which sought to take advantage of the synergies within and between government departments, with emphasis on improving efficiency and enhancing the capacity to deliver services to the public. We are convinced that it is necessary to encourage a culture which facilitates collaboration, coordination, and teamwork within the public service. We believe in a results-oriented approach to public sector management, which seeks to deliver public services in as efficient and as cost-effective a manner as possible. Individual departments cannot function in silos, as happens sometimes, oblivious of what is taking place around them. Hence, we instituted a structure where clusters of departments were aligned and configured with the objective of bringing back clarity and focus to government. The ultimate goals are to improve the delivery of public services now and in the future, to serve our citizens better, enable more measurable outcomes, thus facilitating improved evaluation of our institutions and programs, and also provide more concrete and reliable indicators against which our performance of a government may be judged. We may not have immediate cost savings, but the new direction will create greater synergies and efficiency, and these efficiency gains will ultimately result in savings. There is so much to be done and so little resources with which to undertake them. Some tough decisions have to be made. Two of these clusters are highlighted for illustration. Consultations with St. Lucians leading up to the elections revealed that their number one concern was access to sustainable employment. Economic growth is a prerequisite for sustainable job creation. Therefore, the first cluster of departments is built around the twin objectives of economic growth and job creation. Departments within the sectors of commerce, industry, investment, enterprise development, trade, tourism and agriculture are the principal drivers which will propel our economy towards growth and sustainable job creation. A second cluster addresses social development and is built around issues and departments addressing equity, social justice, empowerment, youth development, sports, and culture. The aim is to bring focus, avoid duplication, and ensure that programs are working towards the same objectives. Our goal is to create a new public sector ethos, which my government sees as a prerequisite to implementing its agenda for change. Mr. President, Madam Speaker, on every occasion when a new government assumes office, there is much discussion of a new approach to governance, only for us to return to the same old ways of doing things soon thereafter. My government, when it formed Her Majesty's opposition in Parliament, articulated the need for a new governance structure, a new apparatus, a governance paradigm that empowers citizens and puts them at the center of our development and decision-making processes. We remain committed to these ideals, and during this 11th Parliament, we'll do everything possible to realize such objectives. We believe, however, that a new governance paradigm should begin in Parliament itself, in the way that parliamentarians relate with and treat each other, and in how parliamentary business is conducted. My government is committed to putting in place the appropriate parliamentary subcommittees to review legislation before presentation to Parliament. This will provide greater opportunity for dialogue and for consensus on both sides of the House in working together for the good of St. Lucia. We will function on the basis of mutual respect and with due regard to the conventions of Parliament and our Constitution. There are agreed courtesies that are extended to persons who have served or are serving in certain offices. We will observe and extend these courtesies. This government undertakes to facilitate the office of Leader of the Opposition in playing its rightful role in our democracy. We believe that all parliamentarians on all sides of the House should be given diplomatic passports, and my government will take the necessary steps to make this happen. A new approach to governance requires the cooperation of both sides of the House, and my government anticipates the full support of Her Majesty's opposition in cultivating this new approach. Mr. President, Madam Speaker, St. Lucia's post-independence constitution has served us well. This document was, however, drawn up within a particular context and an existing set of circumstances at the time. Our country, the world, and the environment in which we live have changed dramatically since. And my government believes that it is appropriate and indeed urgent that we review this constitution. Millions of dollars were spent on a Constitution Reform Commission, which undertook some excellent work and produced a report containing its recommendations. This report was debated in these chambers, but there was no clear indication of what the next steps would be, if any. The general public is left with the impression that this report has been discarded. My government has listened to the voices of the people, and during this session of Parliament, will reopen the report of the Constitution Reform Commission for public discussion, with the objective of arriving at consensus on recommendations for the reform of our Constitution. My government is deeply concerned about the state of the justice system generally, and is considering some short-term options for addressing the many problems, including temporary location of institutions that administer justice. Notwithstanding, my government is proposing a very active legislative agenda for the new session of Parliament. An undertaking was given earlier in this address that my government will pursue a more consultative and inclusive approach to the framing of legislation. This may lengthen the process, but we believe it will be to the benefit of all concerned. In addition to the steps to reform our Constitution, my government proposes during this term to introduce legislation that will strengthen local government, our constituency councils, and empower communities in managing their affairs. We will introduce legislation to facilitate our law enforcement agencies in discharging their duties to protect us. Review the amendments to the Tourism Incentives Act, which was tabled during the last Parliament. Review the Labor Act, and review the legislative framework to enforce fiscal discipline and prudent management of our financial resources, among others. Before assuming office, my government made a number of commitments to St. Lucians. The conditions under which large sections of our population live are, frankly, unacceptable. Something has to be done in the short term to bring some relief to our citizens while we work on realizing the longer-term development objectives which we have developed, which we have established for St. Lucia. My government has commenced steps towards our objective of first reducing the rate of the value-added tax, the VAT, in the short term, with a view to eventually eliminating it altogether. Discussions have been initiated with regional and international institutions that will help us conduct a true assessment of the state of the finances of St. Lucia. It will be recalled that estimates of revenue and expenditure for the current fiscal year were tabled and passed in Parliament without presentation of the policy considerations that informed those estimates. My government finds it necessary, therefore, to undertake a comprehensive review of those estimates in order to determine their realism and how they affect the priority issues in health, education, justice, national security, social safety nets, and other areas, which we believe must be tackled in the short and medium term in order to bring economic and social stability, first of all, and ultimately return our country to a path of sustainable economic growth. My government will then present revised estimates informed by the new policy priorities for the remainder of the fiscal year. But the real manifestation of the new policies to be implemented by my government will begin to take effect in the next fiscal year, 2017 to 2018. We wish to express our appreciation to the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, the Caribbean Development Bank, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, who are assisting us in undertaking this exercise. It is expected that my government will be in a position to announce the new rate of VAT before the end of October 2016. The increase in the school transportation subsidy and school feeding program will take effect with the commencement of the new school year in September. While legislation to facilitate the introduction of the amnesty on hospital bills and the reduction in vehicular license fees will be tabled at the next sitting of Parliament in August. The moratorium on the payment of taxes on residential property will be implemented in the next fiscal year. While the measures just outlined are intended to bring some short-term relief to our citizens, fixing the structural problems which we face and creating a more efficient system for the attraction of foreign investment will inevitably take longer. The specific investment projects geared towards creating sustainable jobs will be announced when the government makes a presentation to Parliament on the economy. However, my government is pleased that the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association has agreed to partner with St. Lucia in the provision of training that will result in approximately 1,000 St. Lucians finding employment in the cruise industry annually for the next 5 years. This initiative signals the commencement
of a massive effort to address the unacceptably high level of youth unemployment, which is approaching 50%. In addition, we have submitted some major economic and social programs to friendly governments and agencies for funding, and we are highly encouraged by their initial responses. We are further encouraged by the surge of interest from a number of investors who are eager to commit resources to projects in St. Lucia. This reflects the renewed confidence in our country. My government has already given a commitment that priority will be given to the southern parts of St. Lucia in the initiation of new development programs. The imbalance which exists in the level of development in different parts of St. Lucia is a source of some of our social problems. My government, through its Constituencies Without Borders initiative, will treat the entire southern part of St. Lucia as a special development area to begin to attract the resources necessary so that the enormous potential which exists in that part of our country can be harnessed for the benefit of the residents of this area and the wider nation. Every day that this process is delayed represents a loss incurred by our country. As we consider the South, there is the vexed issue of St. Jude Hospital, which remains a concern to those needing health care, as well as a bottleneck for the youth of our country who are desirous of pursuing their development in the field of sports. Many deadlines have been set in the past for the opening of the new St. Jude Hospital, only for the time to pass by with no sign of an opening. My government will not make another announcement today, but when that announcement is made, we will deliver. We give the assurance that the Ministries of Health and Economic Development are putting all the efforts towards making this happen within the shortest possible time. A new school year will commence soon. The Minister for Education will be making a statement on arrangements for the opening of school and other issues in education in due course. More detailed statements will also be made on health, agriculture, and other portfolios. Monsieur le Président, Madame Speaker, chaque fois un gouvernement neuf entré, ou qu'attend parler de la cani en approche neuf en manière de gouverner le pays. Mais c'est presque toujours un cas dit tout bon, tout nouveau. Yon 2 mois plus tard, rien de fait. Mais, pour cela, le gouvernement a fait assurer qu'il mettait en place certaines démarches qui ont plus de monde, plus de chance et puis plus l'occasion pour participer à des décisions à ce manière bagaille qui a marché en pays. Nous avons l'intention de commencer en Parlement même pour encourager plus bon comprendre parmi membres du Parlement à tous les deux façades qu'il consiste là pour avancer plus vitement le développement du pays. Bon, on nous garde yon et bien de ces démarches-là, le gouvernement a considéré. Pour commencer, malgré un budget trouvé présenté en Parlement avant l'élection, la partie jamais eu opportunité pour discuter manière ces projets ont trouvé financés. C'est faux qualité de discussion ça là pour un coup. Nous remercions la Banque centrale OICS, Banque développement caribéen, Banque mondiale et puis Fonds monétaire international là, ça nous a créé IMF là, pour l'assistance là, ils promettent là en matière ça là. Bon, chaque temps qui passe, en rapport à ce manière pays peut réformer la constitution qui a gouverné, c'est trouvé présenté en parlement pour discussion. Mais, jusqu'à jour qu'aujourd'hui, pas un mot à sous qui direction nous avons à ce sujet ça là. Pour ça, nous avons ressuscité, nous avons invité le public à discuter ces recommandations avant de nous virer présenter au Parlement pour une décision finale. À ce l'autre côté, pour le moment, bon, fin mois octobre, là, la CAINI en baissement à sous taxe VAT là, mais et puis l'intention pour tirer complètement plus tard. À partir de septembre l'année ça là, la CAINI en haussement à l'argent nous a mis pour le programme transport et puis nourriture maman à l'école, ça nous a créé en anglais school feeding programme là. La CAINI en baissement tout de suite à sous ça nous a payé pour licence machine. Moi, j'ai passé l'air pour l'hôpital Saint-Jude ouvert. Malade, pays a mérité plus meilleur. J'allais pour jeunesse, pays a réclamé stade sportif là qui nous te procuré par yo. Gouvernement qui a poussé corps et l'âme pour que ça fait plus vite que possible. Depuis temps fait temps, et quand nous avons dit en parole créole là, depuis Jab Teti Mamay, pays a qu'attend parler du plan pour développer ces villes et ces villages là en sud pays. Bon, j'ai passé là pour délivrer à toutes ces promesses là, pour bailler les habitants en ouest pays ça là, l'espoir, assurance et géoté. Toutes ces petites démarches là, le gouvernement a fait pour le moment qu'on soulagement. Mais en ces mois qui vont venir, il a présenté le projet de travail en plus grand détail. Mr. President, Madam Speaker, one of the most immediate problems which my government must contend with is addressing the situation which faces our country and our police force in particular, arising from the impacts report. The present circumstances which jeopardize our ability to secure assistance for our under-resourced and hard-working police officers are untenable and cannot be allowed to persist. My government proposes to confront this situation in the first instance by appointing a tribunal which will review the coroner's inquest process and outline a roadmap to bring this matter to a satisfactory conclusion. The world that we live in is a very dynamic one, and new challenges are evident daily. Fortunately, my government expected that there would be these challenges, as nothing comes easily in these difficult times. But challenges also present opportunities, and our future or our fate is often decided by whether we are able to identify these opportunities and how we react to them. We have already witnessed the recent vote by citizens of the United Kingdom to leave the European Union. The full extent of the effects of this vote will only become evident when we become aware of what the new relationship between the UK and the European Union will be. But clearly, it has already started to have an impact on us, with the slide in the value of the pound sterling, making it more expensive for British tourists to visit the Caribbean, and also impacting negatively on remittances that flow to the Caribbean by reducing the level of pension for those returning nationals who have come back to St. Lucia after spending most of their working lives in the UK. But there is another lesson which we must learn from this vote in the UK, and that is governments must listen to their citizens. If this had happened, the outcome could have been very different. My government will be a government that listens. My government will not be deterred by challenges. However, it is deeply regretted that an incoming government, on taking office, finds itself with arrangements entered into by its predecessor on the eve of an election. Arrangements which may be interpreted as serving not only to compromise the confidence which the people are entitled to be able to place in the integrity of the cabinet, but indeed the confidence entitled to be enjoyed in the discharge of matters dealing with the country's foreign relations. The financial burdens imposed by these arrangements on the taxpayers of St. Lucia are being assessed, and the need for appropriate legislative measures to protect our citizens from such arrangements in the future will be explored. My government has been encouraged by the overwhelming show of support and expressions of goodwill from friendly governments, international and regional agencies, as well as our local institutions and citizens generally. My government extends its deep appreciation and pledges to work with all in pursuit of our mutual interests and objectives. Monsieur le Président, Madame Speaker, Sainte-Lucie, c'est un petit pays, mais nous avons toujours trouvé manière pour débrouiller comme nous les bagailles pas belles. C'est confiance là nous ni en nous-mêmes là. L'amitié et puis générosité nous ni pour voisins nous qui a aidé nous mettre dispute oui vote à ce côté pour la petit pays. Aujourd'hui nous debout dans quatre chemins. Nous ni en grosse décision pour prendre. Nous pouvons virer côté nous sortir et puis des bois nous casser. Quand tourner en gauche aller casser derrière nous. Eh bien, nous ça marrer nous, hausser les épaules nous, tremper la main y'en a l'autre et puis pousser devant. Ça qui j'ai passé, j'ai passé. Nous pas obligés d'oublier parce que nous pouvons faire même l'erreur encore. Mais, à nous servir qu'on leçon pour aider nous à avancer et puis mener un pays, tout le monde dans le pays devant. C'est devoir nous, c'est responsabilité nous. C'est l'héritage là nous avons quitté par maman pays. C'est l'héritage riche nous. C'est contribution nous avons bail pour civilisation la terre. Mais surtout, c'est ça qu'on met en haut qu'a exigé de nous. Mr. President, Madam Speaker, St. Lucia is a small nation which has consistently defied the odds when put to the test. We have always been at our best in times of adversity, and no matter how bad things have been in the past, we have always emerged triumphantly in the end. It is this self-belief, this confidence, this love for our neighbors which we have always been able to call upon in the most difficult of times that we must invoke at this critical period in our history. We have the capacity to shape our development prospects, our destiny, and to realize the dream of a brighter future for all. The possibilities ahead are enormous. Let us come together to take advantage of these opportunities and catapult our country to the brighter tomorrow that we all crave for. In conclusion, my government wishes to extend its gratitude to all. We wish to thank in particular our public officers. It is not an easy task to implement the new policies and the changes which inevitably come about when governments change. We recognize the efforts of all our public servants and look forward to building the new St. Lucia with their support. And so, Mr. President, Madam Speaker, it gives me great pleasure to declare open the first session of the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. I thank you.
All rise.
Her Excellency Dame Paulette Lucia with throne speech, the first session of the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. That will end the first session. Of course, so much that has happened this morning and into the afternoon with the opening of this 11th Parliament. Of course, the election of a Speaker of the House and Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly, and secondly, the election of a President and a Deputy President of the Senate of St. Lucia. It now is the opportunity for the members of Parliament to shake hands and move around the chamber. Of course, them being politicians, I'm sure they will meet with some of their supporters and what have you. But it has been an interesting morning, as I said, and into the afternoon, Marlon. A number of things that's happened, as we described it as some drama earlier. And it was interesting to sit in the Parliament and watch the proceedings. It was stunned silence, for example, when they were looking to nominate a Deputy Speaker of the House, and no nominations coming, and the question being put 3 times for a Deputy Speaker to be nominated. But eventually we got there, and Deputy Speaker being nominated in the person of Sarah Flood Bobre, and then being elected.
Quand Garfield dit la tenue, c'est un bon matin, et puis d'autres néditants qui bien intéressant pour cette lycéenne, pour qui ça qui fait à dire dans le Parlement. Mais gouverneur général a la douce et puis parler d'élection. Il dit après élection, la cani ça qui gagne et ça qui perd. La ni gagne et perdante. Mais il dit la parole du peuple c'est la parole du bon Dieu. Et puis les peuples a parlé, c'est ça yo vle. Conseil couilla sous peuple cette lycéen. Nous tous ces politiciens pour célébrer gagne là, et puis patience et puis générosité, et puis du gouvernement par gouvernement accompagner monde tout seul. C'est un gouvernement qui supposé yon pour tout citoyen cette ici. Si tout c'est ça qui plie besoin en parmi nous. Comme ça tout ça il parlait de manière gouvernement, et puis il parlait de manière gouvernement qui essayer pour aider et puis mettre bagay en place. Si tu es en sous-pays, il dit mérité développer. Agafil?
A number of things, as Marlon was describing, a number of things said by the Governor General, some broad areas, as we told you, for this session of Parliament. And among the things that she spoke of earlier in her speech, speaking to the general election of the 6th of June, and speaking to winners and losers, but also making the very important point that many times during political campaigns and after general election, you hear people talking about the voice of the people being the voice of God. And she was saying if you would understand that premise, that the voice of the people is the voice of God, then there are no losers. And everyone has won in that the people have spoken. So now let the democracy reign, let the principles of democracy, let those things proceed. So it was a speech that spoke to a number of areas, and I'm sure that people wanted to hear certain issues discussed. One of the big issues for the election campaign, of course, is the issue of VAT, the reduction of VAT and its eventual elimination. And she was saying, and she did say rather, that the new rate of VAT, some announcement will be made on that before October of this year. And I'm sure that people are glad to hear that, because many times with political campaigns, people make a lot of promises, and sometimes these promises, you don't hear anything about it. But it's good to hear in the throne speech the Governor General speaking to that particular issue, because it's been a hot issue of debate on radio and newspapers and what have you. So she did speak to that specifically.
Et puis l'autre sujet, c'est chez l'hôpital Saint-Jude. Et puis ça, c'est un bagaille, tout le monde a dit quitte l'hôpital là, quand il finit, il y a pour servir George Odlum Stadium là, pour jeunes monde, jeunesse, vieux commencer la vie sport. Et puis il parlait de l'hôpital, ça là, côté il a fait, quand il paie, pour essayer de finir, comme ça, monde qui joignent à l'hôpital, pour aller en sous pays. Et puis maintenant, il développer sous pays, puis à chaque combine par développer assez, et puis il a essayé pour gens qui restent en sous pays, jouer une opportunité à jouer un travail, et puis vivre la vie qui est primaire pour la famille.
Yes, Marlon, very important. The hospital in the southern part of the island, the St. Jude Hospital, since 2009, that fire that destroyed the hospital, it has been under construction for a number of years, and many announcements made as to when it will reopen. And the Governor General jokingly saying that, look, we're not going to give a date, but it is very, very important that the government is very concerned about that, and speaking to the importance of opening this hospital and also giving the stadium, the George Odlum Stadium, back to the young people of this country, those who are involved in sports, so that they're able to pursue their sporting careers, those who will take on sports as a career. And also the government will be looking towards the development of the southern part of the country, ensuring that there is development in that part of the country. Another area that she touched on, and I think that's very, very important, again going back to the political campaign and what have you, is the review of the license fee, and she says that will be looked at in the next sitting of the House.
Aussi, constitution reform, il dit cette lycéen pas ni assez chance, so il y a ouvert encore vieux ressuscité, comme ça cette lycéen qui joué opportunité pour discuter différentes lois qui étaient passées, différents bagages qui étaient évolué en pays. Comme ça, il y a discuter encore et faire décision à ce manière pour pousser devant. Et puis, il y a ce nous qui a dit nous c'est monde qui n'a pas force, qui a fait bagaille. Et puis, nous pour ça prendre leçon nous dans ça qui fait, dans ça qui a fait. Et puis pour nous ça tout bout pour bailler si pour y en a l'autre et puis pour ces pays en devant.
Indeed, Marlon, a very, very important area. Extensive work done on looking at St. Lucia's constitution, looking towards constitutional reform, and it has been an issue that has been around and people have spoken to extensively, but it is good to hear that it is something that will be looked at. We also have with us Julita Peter, and she has got the Prime Minister with her, so we'll go over to her.
Interview with the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Honorable Alan Chasney. Prime Minister, could you just give us an idea of the government's legislative agenda for perhaps the next few years?
Well, obviously it starts off with the constitutional review. I think that that's something that's been long awaited. It's something that we're going to work in collaboration with the opposition and obviously civil society. And it doesn't mean that we have to take it in whole, but we can take it in pieces in terms of the more important aspects of that. In terms of, in our mind, opening up the economy, allowing for a capacity change, we also want to be able to look at some new legislation in order to facilitate free zones, the new Incentives Act. We feel that the Incentives Act that was passed by the government was very biased towards larger developments. And we think that in order to have a more sustainable and a more authentic tourism product in St. Lucia, it has to be one that allows St. Lucians to be able to participate and to allow the culture of St. Lucia to be able to shine through. So we feel that that's the differentiation that's required in order to for us to be able to be successful in the long term. Just bringing large hotels to St. Lucia is not going to be sufficient to differentiate the destination from Cancun or other major markets out there. In terms of the judicial system, we'd like to see a centralization of the court system as quickly as possible. We're talking about putting the police headquarters where Golden Hope was, putting SSU there, integrating the forensic lab, as well as upgrading the training facility and the maintenance facility over there. We're also looking at the possibility of moving the Marine Police over to where the Shell station used to be in Banan. And we're also looking at the possibility of a new immigration force as well as a Coast Guard system. We feel that that is now starting to modernize our security forces and to make them much more effective than we presently are. You know, after the introduction of APIS, which is a system, the Air Passenger Information Service, which means that everybody is screened prior to getting in here. The need to do things the way we did them before has changed, and we need to embrace that new technology. So all those are going to require legislative changes. Obviously, everybody is aware of the financial situation and with the banks, and there's going to be need to be a heavy legislative agenda there in terms of making sure the rights of the St. Lucians are protected, but at the same time that the banks are feeling comfortable in lending money into St. Lucia. So there's a lot of things that we have to do in a very short period of time, and we're looking forward to the cooperation of the civil service and civil society in making those decisions.
Thank you. That sounds very ambitious. Finally, we've heard the Governor General. What stood out for you? What are your comments on some of the things that the Governor General had to say in the throne speech?
The continuation use of a country for all. You cannot have economic growth and only a few people in your society benefit and call it a success. There are too many people still languishing in poverty. There are too many people that are struggling day to day to be able to survive. And I'm not so sure that our education system is producing a workforce that is going to be competitive in the world today. So that we have to review our policies, but make sure that whenever we're implementing those policies, that it's resounds to the benefit of all. But the other critical thing, I think it clearly identifies what the urgent need is, which is unemployment, which we need to be able to generate economic growth in order to be able to achieve that. But by itself does not fulfill the promise of unemployment.
Thank you, Prime Minister. All the best on your new term in office.
Thank you, sir.
That was Julita Peter speaking there with the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Honorable Alan Chastney. And we have been here, of course, for the openings, the first session of the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. And as we have said, so much has happened here this morning and into the afternoon. And we were looking earlier, at the throne speech of the Governor General of St. Lucia, Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louisy, and some of the broad areas that she touched on. Another very important area that she touched on, Marilyn, is the impacts report, and that again has been one of the major issues in the news and one that people have been discussing. And speaking to the appointment of a tribunal, which will provide, according to the Governor General, will provide a roadmap for a resolution to this very, very important issue that deals with the police. So it is also another area that the government will be looking at in this session of Parliament. Julita has someone else with her, and that is the Member of Parliament for Castries South East. Just getting ready to join her. She will be speaking with him. So maybe we can join her right now.
Speaking here with Minister Guy Joseph. Welcome, Minister. Could you just give us an idea of what is your work plan is for at least for the next few years?
Well, as you would have observed in the throne speech by the Governor General, the issue of the hospitals came up. As Minister for Economic Planning, both St. Jude's and the new National Hospital falls directly under my purview in terms of seeing the completion of the works in these two very critical institutions. I am placing some heavy focus on St. Jude's presently. I think the sooner we can open these new institutions, it's going to bring a relief to the people of the South in particular, and the people of St. Lucia in general in terms of the services that would be available in the health sector in St. Lucia. I must say that it is indeed a challenge because a lot of the resources have been used and the works have not been completed. Even the last loan that was negotiated for the St. Jude's Hospital, the majority of this money look like it has been spent, but the hospital is nowhere near completion. So that is going to be my focus. My first order of business is really to get St. Jude's and the new National Hospital completed so that we can facilitate the Ministry of Health taking over these institutions and beginning to provide the services that are required.
In terms of housing, that continues to be a sore issue, and there are some housing projects that have been on stream. What are your plans, at least in the immediate future, to deal with such situations?
There are a number of issues around housing that we are dealing with. There are some houses that was built in the Moshi Housing Development Project. Some of these houses have not been sold. The arrangements are not in place. We have the issue of the Proud Land development. We also have a number of housing projects that are in dispute presently. The one in Choiseul, Riverdore, in that area down there, the Balambush housing project down there. We just got documents from the courts where there was a lawsuit filed against the previous government for works executed down there and not paid for. We have these issues to resolve with the Wadouage housing development. There are a few land issues that we need to resolve. You have the Gabo Lands housing development. That also I am reviewing where we are on it. And then the one in Talvan. What we saw happening is there were many attempts to get a number of things going just on the eve of the elections. And it looked like the due diligence was not done on some of these projects. So we are revising where we are presently. The Forestier housing development also is one under review presently. So really, with the housing sector, there is a demand for housing, but it must be affordable housing. So with a new housing board coming into place as of Monday next week, we would be in a position to do a general review of the housing stock available on the island, of the demands of the housing sector, and to be able to meet the needs. One of the things I want to be measured by is the affordability of housing, because usually people become ministers and they just go with the flow, with the norm of doing things, and nothing really changes in St. Lucia in terms of pricing. When we talk about affordable housing, we want to make affordable housing available, whether it be subsidized or in any form. And I am not guaranteeing that I would be able to deliver that, but I want to be measured by saying, let's say, for example, I want somebody to be able to get a house and land for 75,000 EC dollars. And we call these starter homes, a reasonable house that they can be comfortable settling in the interim. Because my challenge is that I find it difficult to find a young person having to go and take a mortgage for 30 or 35 years. Let's say you age 30 or 25 and you take a mortgage for that time. It means that if you miss one payment until you reach age 60 in some instances, that you may be in problems. What guarantees do we have that you will retain a job for that period of time, that you'd be consistently in good health to be able to work and pay off these loans? So I believe in as much as in this country it is so easy to own a vehicle, I want to make it as easy to own a house and land as it is to own a vehicle. Because I would much rather see young people investing in housing and land that appreciates in value rather than other areas that do not bring the desired benefits that they may be looking for.
Finally, at the end of this term in office, your tenure, what would you like to be your greatest achievement or accomplishment?
We have to turn around this economy. We have to create more jobs for the people of St. Lucia. And whatever we do is to upgrade the standard of living. Some people, I would rather allow my legacy to be established politically in terms of my accomplishments rather than saying this is what I'm aiming to do. I'm very open-minded, I'm broad-based, so I don't want to be confined. I can tell you, during my early entry in the political arena, one of the things I said, I don't want to be measured by how many roads I fix and how many street lights and where I brought water. These are necessities of life that we must give to people. That any government, and even instances where there are no governments, that these services are provided. So I don't believe that as ministers that should be the benchmark for measurement. So one of the first things I said was, I'd rather be measured by saying during my tenure in office, I made it possible that 50 persons could have attended university and acquired a university education. And I can tell you, my contribution in this sector, I'm very happy to see that the areas that I try to influence in education, I've seen graduations taking place. I've seen people graduating with master's degrees and bachelor's degrees and various associate's degrees. I feel good about that. I like to be measured in this way. In my area of economic planning, housing, transport, and all of these, civil aviation, I would like to see more flights into St. Lucia, more choices of airlines to travel by, both regionally and internationally. I would like to know that after my term in office, that young people can say, I got a good opportunity to own a house and land. And I want to see this economy grown sufficiently that people can have decent jobs and be able to take care of themselves rather than coming to politicians every time to look for things that they can provide for themselves.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you.
Julita Peter there, speaking with the Member of Parliament for Castries Southeast, the Honourable Guy Joseph. He, of course, is also the Minister for Economic Development, Housing, Urban Renewal, Transport and Civil Aviation. We are coming to you live from the House of Assembly, where we, of course, just saw a joint sitting of the Parliament for a throne speech from the Governor General of St. Lucia, Her Excellency Dame Bernadette Louisy. Of course, it is the first session of the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. Now, our country is bilingual. We have been hearing our interviews in English. We've got Marilyn Hyacinth with us, and she has with her the Honorable Ezekiel Joseph.
I have with me the Minister of Agriculture in the new government, Mr. Ezekiel Joseph.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me, discussing with you what's happening in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Development, Natural Resources and Cooperative. Well, like you heard the Governor General in her address made reference to agriculture and speaking to the positive impact that agriculture can have in the rural community. As a government, I want to say that we are committed to the agriculture sector. including fisheries and forestry, and now you have realized that be given additional responsibility, physical development and natural resources, and that includes forestry and water, that's WASCO. So it's for us now to implement the programs that we articulated before elections that would impact positively on our rural folks. I want to say that as a government, we believe that we can encourage our farmers to get back into production. And what we are looking at is to implement policies that will create that environment to encourage them to get back into production. One of the critical things that we are looking at is the whole aspect of marketing. One would appreciate that marketing is critical in the agricultural sector, and you need to provide that safety net, that environment when farmers are in production and they have harvested, that they are able to sell the produce and to get our returns that will encourage them to continue producing. Well, moi dit that moi Prime Minister mettez moi comme ministre agricole encore, et puis les pêches, physical development, natural resources et puis cooperative, et puis responsabilité ça, well, c'est ça moitié ministre en Flore Beauté au gouvernement, moitié ministre agricole, but Premier ministre là a moi plus responsabilité. The responsibility about my physical development, et puis natural resources, which are also ni WASCO. Et puis attention, c'est pour nous comme ministre implémenter programme qui caille support pour farmers. Et puis on parle about farmers, on parle about fishermen, on parle about ces gens qui involvés dans affaires le forêt tout, because le forêt ou ça fait l'argent le forêt, because la chaque programme that nous can mettre en place moun qui intéressé pour aller la forêt à bas conduite forestry department là ça fait l'argent dedans. Et puis ça fait les pêches là qu'on nous savent là c'est bagaille nous believe in. Et puis là nous étions là avant, nous avons commencé à faire la pêche là, nous avons commencé à mettre new technology en place pour encourager les pêcheurs et puis encourager les jeunes gens venir à faire les pêches. So nous avons continué ces bagailles ça. Moi je veux dire que chaque programme là nous avons commencé, unfortunately, chaque dio pas jamais fini. Ou quand marché ou changer les affaires abattoirs. Abattoir up to now pourquoi ça ouvert. Et puis nous décidé pour faire abattoir, c'est pas abattoir seulement, nous avons décidé pour un programme pour encourager les gens pour aller en production des animaux. Parce que si abattoir là, il n'est pas une production des animaux pour abattoir, pour ça travail, il pas fait bien sens. Et puis, unfortunately, nous avons chaque femme des animaux à quitter les affaires des animaux. Donc, nous avons commencé tout all over again. Et puis, moi, ça veut dire Prime Minister, Miss Honorable Anna Chasney, il commit pour les affaires agricoles. Et puis, baisse à cette discussion, nous avons mis des programmes en place pour le encouragement, pour chaque monde vivre les affaires des animaux. Nous avons ici pour chaque monde vivre chaque jeune monde vivre les affaires agricoles. Parce que nous tenons un programme là, et puis notre un programme ça, pour ça bénéficie jeunes monde. Nous avons $3.5 million pour supporter les gens en affaires agricoles. Et puis tout là, ça a fini. Et puis ça n'a pas naturellement that nous pas ça fait impact là nous expect programme ça pour nous. So il pas aisé. Moi ça dit that moi ça mon support cabinet moi because c'est même cabinet là sorti commune qui agriculture c'est base là. Moi ça mon support prime ministre là et puis n'a gardé pour travailler ensemble et puis c'est mon ministre agriculture et puis c'est farmers là et puis c'est fishermen pour mener nous ça mettre bailler place.
Merci Achai, on est à Ezekiel Joseph et puis moi souhaite bon succès à travail. Over to you, Garfield.
Thank you very much, Marlon. That's Marlon Hyacinth there speaking with the Member of Parliament for Babano and Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and Cooperatives, the Honorable Ezekiel Joseph. We are live from the Parliament of St. Lucia. We're hopeful maybe to speak to one more parliamentarian, and we can tell you that the chamber is basically empty. There are still a few parliamentarians who are around just chatting. I can see the Prime Minister in the distance, also just a short while ago speaking with Marilyn, the Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, and the other parliamentarian here, the Honorable Guy Joseph, and the Honorable Stevenson King, who will now speak with Marilyn Hyacinth. The Honorable Stevenson King, of course, has served in St. Lucia as Prime Minister and in many other ministries. He is truly a veteran politician and parliamentarian, has served in many capacities. So he's just getting ready to speak with Marilyn, and that is coming up shortly here on the National Television Network and RSL 97. So let's go over to Marilyn. She's now going to speak with the Member of Parliament for Castries North and the Minister for Infrastructure, Ports, Energy and Labour.
With the Honorable Stevenson King, parliamentarian representative for Castries North. Mr. King, as Minister of Government, we would like to know what is your agenda for the government of St. Lucia in terms of your ministry and also your constituency.
Well, as you're quite aware, upon my victory at the polls, I was appointed to the Ministry for Infrastructure, Ports, Energy and Labour. It is a ministry that has very responsible, or if I should say critical responsibilities. And so one of the major responsibilities really is to do with the infrastructure of the country, particularly our road networks, public buildings, and other infrastructure necessary for the good conduct of business on the island. I have said previously that my mandate at this time calls for a comprehensive review of where we are, the programs of the government, ongoing programs, ongoing projects, and also a realization of the commitment of this new government to grow the economy, to be able to design the necessary programs and engineer those programs in response for economic growth on the island. So it is one that calls for not halting, but to more or less proceeding with the existing agenda, and at the same time in a review to be able to reposition ourselves to respond effectively and efficiently to this new government's agenda. That is the main issue, or the main, if I should say, responsibility at this time, as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, the Ministry of Infrastructure must respond to the people and must be able, in its response, to satisfy the needs of the people. And that is an area that I intend to place a lot of emphasis, so that the image of the ministry is improved in as far as how the people see the ministry in its response to their needs in their various communities. In addition, we do have the responsibility for ports, and this government has a very ambitious agenda to continue its program, which was started in 2006-2007, and that is to improve and redevelop our international airport here in Ora, to upgrade the George F.L. Charles Airport, and also to enhance and redevelop Port Castries both as a commercial port and as a tourist port. But more significantly, to look at the potential of Port View Fort in as far as its role as a commercial port, but also the possibility of expansion to a tourist port, and most likely not just a port of call, but a port of a port within which you can have transfers of passengers from the airport to the cruise ship to go on cruise. So that is part of it. On the other hand, the responsibility of labor has come to me, and it is one that is multifaceted. We have first and foremost to deal with the industrial climate in St. Lucia to make sure that our climate is one conducive for work, conducive for good relationship between employers and employees and government, and also one within which our workers are motivated and are productive and can match any other worker in the world, both in terms of productivity and efficiency. So that is a responsibility which I have and which I intend to ensure that we meet all of those aspects of labor, so that it's not just one of quelling problems in the labor workforce or between unions and employers and workers, but one that deals with all of those issues. Ok, eh bien, ça me voulait dire, c'est depuis l'élection, moi je viens apprendre comme ministre pour infrastructure, ça nous a créé infrastructure, c'est vieux monde là connaître la cour commerciale, et moi j'ai responsabilité pour chimie, building gouvernement, et l'autre bail qui moi ni pour assurer en ordre pour Mam Saint-Lucie. En part de ça, moi j'ai responsabilité pour ports, port Castries, port V4, et port Yonora et port Vigi. Tous ces ports et ces ports ça, nous avons un plan pour nous redévelopper et pour nous rebâtir. À d'un autre côté, Jean Saint-Lucie, qui a Pride, ça nous a fait. Aussi, moi, j'ai une responsabilité pour ça nous a créé labor. Ça, c'est labor relations, ça, c'est des affaires qui ont affecté le travail en Saint-Lucie. Et c'est mon responsabilité, moi, c'est pour assurer ça nous a créé une atmosphère qui est cordiale, côté tout travailleur, tout employé et tout gouvernement, ça habite dans environnement ça côté bail qui marche bien.
Merci Anchai, on est Wab King et puis moi souhaite au succès en travail. Back to you, Garfield.
Thank you very much, Marilyn. Marilyn speaking there with the Honorable Stevenson King. And that is basically it for us here from the Parliament of St. Lucia, the first session of the 11th Parliament. I can tell you as we leave you that the new Speaker of the House is Mrs. Leon Theodore John. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly is Mrs. Sarah Ford Bobre. The new President of the Senate is Mr. Andy Daniel. And the Deputy President of the Senate is Mauricia Thomas Francis. Thank you so much for joining us here on the National Television Network and on RSL 97 for our coverage of this first session of the 11th Parliament of St. Lucia. On behalf of the entire team, especially Marilyn Hyacinth and Julita Peter, thank you so much for joining us and have a good day.